I was holding a mug that had gone cold. He didn't notice. He never noticed the small things anymore. He stood in the doorway, his mother's suitcases lined up behind him like a quiet army. He said it like a decree, like he'd practiced it in the car. From today, living with Mom. Pack your things! I nodded, calm. The kind of calm that scares people later. Okay, I said. I smiled. The rent is... His jaw tightened. His fingers shook. He didn't know why yet. But his body knew. That was the moment I understood how this would end. We met when we were young and careful. I remember his hands. Then, steady, I remember how he learned my coffee order by heart and how he swore he hated lies. He used to say honesty was his only rule. I believed him because belief felt like oxygen. We built a life on that lie. A small apartment. A son who slept with his fists curled like commas. Promises whispered after midnight. Plans written on the backs of receipts. Then the changes came. Small. Surgical. His phone face down. Late nights with explanations that arrived too fast. His mother's voice slipping into our home telling him what a good son looked like. Telling him what a wife should endure. I didn't argue. I watched. The first crack was the lease. He stopped mentioning it. The second was the bank app. He forgot to log out. The third was the way he talked about ours like it was already gone. I found the message on a Tuesday. Not a confession, a confirmation. His mother had been planning the move for months. A slow eviction disguised as family duty. I felt the shock travel through me, then settle. When the pain landed, it didn't scream. It sharpened. I didn't confront him. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I planned. I read everything. The lease clauses he'd never read. The joint account terms he assumed favored him. The text messages he thought were harmless because they weren't romantic. They were worse. They were strategic. He was rehearsing my removal with someone who had been waiting her whole life. I documented. Dates, amounts, words. I spoke to a lawyer with a voice that didn't shake. I asked only necessary questions. I set reminders. I opened a separate account. I backed up files. I smiled at dinner and packed copies into my bag. He thought my silence meant surrender. People like him always do. The day he brought her belongings, the air felt staged. He said my name like it was a chore. He said the words he'd practiced. From today, living with Mom. Pack your things! I smiled because the last piece slid into place. The rent is due today, I said softly. In your name. He blinked. This place, I continued, is leased to me. Remember when your credit was shaky and I signed? Remember how you said it was temporary?
His breathing changed.
And the account you drained? I said. I moved my share last week. I left yours. You're welcome. His mother stepped forward, lips tight. She tried to speak. I held up a finger. Not to silence her. To time her. There's also the notice, I said, tapping my phone. I filed it this morning. You can't remove a tenant without cause. You also can't evict a child. His hand reached for the suitcases. Too late. You told me to pack, I said. So I did. Just not my things. He started to tremble then, full body, like a man realizing the floor was never his. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The truth is louder when it's calm. You moved your mother in without consent, I said. You changed locks last week. I have photos. You threatened removal. I have witnesses. His mouth opened, closed. The court date is scheduled, I added. Temporary custody is mine. Child support is calculated. The judge doesn't like surprises. He looked at our son, sleeping, safe. He looked back at me like he was seeing a stranger. You can live with your mom, I said. Just not here. Security arrived because I had arranged it. They always come faster when paperwork is clean. I watched him gather what he could carry. I watched his mother's mouth harden into something like regret. I felt nothing burn. I felt relief settle. After they left, the apartment sounded bigger. I sat on the floor and breathed until my hands were steady again. I texted my lawyer one word, done. The fallout came in waves, calls, messages, apologies wrapped in anger. I didn't answer. I responded through channels that mattered. He learned what silence actually meant. Not weakness, distance. Weeks later, he tried to negotiate. He tried to charm. He tried to threaten. Each attempt failed because the structure held. I had built it quietly, brick by brick. In the mirror, I saw someone new. Not softer, clearer. I didn't ruin him. I removed myself from his control. The rest happened on its own. Sometimes revenge looks like fire. Sometimes it looks like a smile and a sentence finished carefully. Sometimes it's knowing the rent, the rules, and the truth. When he told me to pack, he thought he was ending my story. He was wrong. I had already written the last page.